Can I build a $100 million trade business in the next 5 years? We're going to find out. Taken from dozens of different successful companies and successful models and trying to put them all into a company together, utilizing AI first. AI is revolutionizing every industry. We already know this, but can I build a company using AI from scratch and document the build? So in last episode, I set up our development environment, which is VS Code. We configured Claude so we could use Anthropic models. We configured OpenAI so we can use OpenAI's models, and we configured OpenCode so we could use OpenRouter and choose a whole bunch of other models and run all of those from our terminal. In the second episode, what we're going to do is configure the folder structure and get started so that we can start using these agents as leverage. But first, a learning from some of my past experiences. In the past, because AI makes coding so easy, it's very easy to get unorganized, end up with a bunch of things you don't need. In my last project, it was hundreds of thousands of lines of code, hundreds of markdown documents, and I ended up getting too overwhelmed because every agent wanted to do their own thing. And in the end, it was very hard and cost a lot of money because each agent was consuming a ton of context and tokens in order to get up to speed with what we're building. So in this second episode, we need to configure the structure that will form the base of this business. So step one is going to be creating the initial folder. We're going to create a folder, which I am calling Real Home Comfort. That is the name of the business that I've chosen. I've already purchased the domain. It was purchased through Cloudflare. If you want to follow along, the process that I followed is I went to instant domain search Rapid Home Comfort. Of course, it scans across a whole bunch of top level domains and you can find what you want. You click through. This is a great way to find domains quickly. Registered it again through Cloudflare because I'm going to be using Cloud. If you don't know, Cloudflare is a content discovery network. It makes it very easy. So that's why I've chosen this route. So I'm within the Rapid Home Comfort folder, but as you can see, I've got no files inside of here. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up the terminal, Command J or Control J, whichever you're using, a Mac or a Windows machine. As I said last, I'm on a Windows machine. I'm going to use Claude for this. So I'm going to fire up Claude by typing in Claude. I didn't show it in the last episode. If you're configuring an agent within the terminal, Claude, for example, and you have not set it up with either a subscription or console first, it'll prompt you to do that. I've done it through a console, paying API usage rather than using a subscription, but that's up to you. Same goes with OpenAI. You can either have an OpenAI subscription or you could go to an OpenAI workspace, create an API key and use usage-based. And then OpenRouter is the same thing. It's paid on a token usage depending on what model you choose. So we're within Claude Code. What I'm going to start with is pasting a prompt, hit enter. Basically what it says is kind of what I just said previously. I built things in the past, got messy. So we're going to be configuring some rules. Think of rules like telling an agent how to operate within a project. And then we're going to be configuring skills, which you can think of as how to perform particular jobs. So as you can see, it's saying the directory is empty. Correct. Do I want to proceed? Yes, I want to proceed. As you can see now, it's created apps, docs, scratch, and skills. So you can think of apps as things we're actually going to build. So this could be websites, this could be calculators, other things like that. Docs is going to be durable business knowledge. Skills are going to be reusable skills that we're going to use to give to agents as we build out specialized agents to perform certain things within the business. And then scratch is like a throwaway folder where agents can work, they can build things without cluttering up the code space and ending up with, like I said last time, hundreds of documents that are not worth having. Do I want to create a README? Yes. Do we want to create a git ignore? Yes. So now, as you can see, it's telling me what it's created. It's created a project tree under the root Rapid Home Comfort. It's got a README, git ignore, apps, docs, skills, and scratch all empty. README telling a little bit about the project, what it is. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the next prompt. And basically what that says is, I'm not going to read it all, but I'm asking it to write the rules essentially to eliminate what I just said I don't want to happen with bloat, how to think through things and how we're going to configure the project moving forward. Things like don't create new documents without analyzing what we already have and updating, getting rid of any documents instead of archiving them. What we're going to do after we get all this set up is we're going to hook up something called GitHub, which will allow us to essentially store this local folder in the cloud. Think of it like Google Drive, where we're going to be building on our local desktop. Think local files like downloads, desktop, documents, etc. We're essentially creating a document or a folder of documents. When we're done working, we're going to put it into the cloud in GitHub, store it there. Anytime we make changes, we version it. And then when we want to work on it again, we take the folder out of the filing cabinet, bring it onto our local computer, work on it, and then push the changes back up to GitHub. Do I want to create an agents file? Yes. The reason we want to do this is agents files tell the agents how to work. Essentially, Claude has Claude MD. A lot of the OpenRouter models and OpenAI models use agents MD, but Claude is also able to inject or read agents files. And we want to make sure is as we're using different models, different agents, they all follow the same rules. So we have to make sure we set that up first. Okay. As you can see, it has created all of those. It's telling me essentially that OpenAI Codex use an agents file. OpenCode also uses an agent file. Claude Code uses Claude MD. However, we've put an @ reference in that Claude MD file that looks to agents. So all we'll have to do is update the agents files as we add new rules, and all of these models or providers will stay synced. So now it's asking me if I want to initialize Git and connect to GitHub, configure Git and connect to GitHub. Now I've already got a GitHub account. If you don't, you'll want to set that up. Yes, don't ask again. The big thing to remember here is if you ever have any questions that you're wondering about, simply ask your agent and it can figure it out without having to struggle. This is why it's great to work right within the terminal. It can be a little bit scary to begin with, but because it has access to your whole development environment, your local files, everything, it can often figure out any problems tabs. And as you can see going forward, when we start adding more tools and functionality, the power is going to start compounding. So we're going to use Rapid Home Comfort as the name. I want this to be a private repository. I want to install the GitHub command line interface, submit the answers, asking me to install the GitHub command line interface. Okay, do we want to proceed? Yes. Okay, GitHub's all set up. Everything is ready. It's committed. So if we jump on over to GitHub, we can see that there is a new Rapid Home Comfort here. If we click on it, git ignore agents Claude MD, it's got all the files that we wanted. Tells us about what it is, the README, of course. So if we jump on back to VS Code, one more thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type a prompt that basically just says, go through this again, make sure you're not creating any initial junk that we don't need, audit it, make sure, explain it to me in a simple fashion, kind of what we're doing so that I know that we haven't ended up with a bunch of bloat. Because again, learning from my past mistakes, it's very frustrating when you end up with dozens and dozens or hundreds of files. You're searching to find things. I will tell you from personal experience, keep your projects very simple and well organized. It will save you a ton of time and money in the long run. And because I'm hoping to build this into a massive business that is sellable one day, I want to make sure it's clean and well organized, that somebody could quickly look at it and figure out what's going on. This becomes also important if I bring other people into the project. They need to be able to get up to speed really quickly. One thing to note also, that going forward, we will start running additional terminals, which we can do by clicking the plus button. You can see now we've got two terminals on the side. We've got PowerShell, and then we've got our Claude terminal running. So we can run multiple terminals, do multiple things at once. We're just about done setting up the agents, setting up the folder structure, setting up GitHub. And in the next video, what we're going to get into is actually configuring skills, tying in the APIs. We're going to need to start doing research, much of which I've already got started on, so you didn't have to watch me. But I'm going to walk through the 80 pages of research that I've already uncovered and where I think the opportunity is to build a very durable and highly valuable trade business by, like I said in the beginning of the video, incorporating a whole bunch of methodologies that are being used by other businesses, but trying to put them all into one business that is incredibly lean, high margin, sells a few products, and does it very, very well. So here's what it's come back to me and said. It's looked at all of these. Here's the final project tree, how the system works. Code goes in apps. It's the public website, internal tools later. Each app inside has its own folder. Permanent knowledge in docs. Temporary work goes in Scratch. Reusable skills goes in skills. It's got the agents files. The recommendation, not ready yet. I recommend making the following changes. Remove the duplicated layout section from agents and the working principle section from README. Keep README as the single home for the folder descriptions. Trim git ignore from 52 lines to 20. Removing ignores from frameworks, languages, etc. Add one line to agents, starting that Claude MD as a pointer and must never contain rules. Okay, go ahead and make the changes you recommended. Another thing I'll mention is one huge hack is using voice typing. I use Wisprflow, so that's what I'm going to be doing in these videos going forward. Has one key. It starts to learn over time and it gets better. It's phenomenal and it will increase your productivity, guaranteed. I'll put the link in the resources below. Want to put it into your productivity stack, commit and push the changes. So it's committing and pushing the changes to GitHub. Again, like I said, kind of putting the file back in the filing cabinet online. So if we look at the files, or all the folders rather, are all empty. And in the next video, we're going to start populating these. Of course, in order to start this trade business, we've got to do a bunch of research. I've done most of it, as I said, but I'm going to show you what I've done and where I think the opportunity is. And then we're going to start with a minimal viable, basically product or offering. And we're going to go to market with that and see if we can start getting some traction, see if there's any interest for what we're building. So with that said, thanks for watching episode 2. Tune in to episode 3, where we get into the actual exciting stuff of getting started building the actual business.